Hello, everyone, and welcome back to You Are Your Business podcast. And I'm very excited today to be chatting with Kelsey Reidl, who is a professional marketing consultant, a small business coach, a passionate podcast host of 7 years, a college teacher, and a dynamic speaker. She spent nearly 15 years studying the ever changing world of marketing through various lens and job titles and is known for her expertise in content marketing, SEO, and experiential campaigns and event activations. Oh my goodness, Kelsey, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Amy. I loved getting to know you back in January. We were at a networking brunch together and we clicked right away. So it's such a joy to be on the mic with you, recording and catching up.
Yes, absolutely. So for our listeners, why don't you share a little bit, so you have had this marketing journey that you've been on, but it was in corporate. So what led you to go from like the corporate into the entrepreneurial world?
That's a good question. I would say at the very most basic answer that I could give, it's just that I never felt like I could be myself in a corporate role. Like I would walk into the office, I felt like I was wearing clothes I didn't want to wear. I would have managers where I would share like what I thought were my best marketing ideas, and they'd say, "Oh, we don't have the budget for that," or "Oh, maybe next year," or "Oh, let's shelf that idea and we'll talk about it in our next meeting." And that next meeting never came. And I always just felt like I didn't quite fit. So I would go into the office, but I always knew this is not my dream. Like, I want to be building something for myself. I want to take the ideas that I have and not run them by somebody. I just want to get to work, get my hands dirty, and test this out. I guess I've always been a bit of a rebel too. I don't like asking for permission. I don't want somebody to tell me what I can and can't do. I just want to like get out there and do it. And so I always had that entrepreneurial spirit within me. But after going through really two different marketing roles where I was let go unexpectedly. The first time with one of Canada's top grocery stores. I was working for them and our project got canceled unexpectedly. Entire team was let go. So back to the job search. Then I got my dream job working for a health food company and I was doing experiential marketing across Ontario. And then the company got sold for 500 million to a larger US based company. Got a phone call, entire team was being let go. So found another job, again, working for another health food company in
Yeah.
Canada. Loved it. It was awesome. But again, that's where I really just felt that misalignment. And I also, given the experiences that I just shared, I knew that I didn't want to depend on somebody else for a paycheck when at the drop of a hat, they could say, "Oh, we've changed our business objectives and now we are moving these dollars to a different team member." And then you're out of a job. So I think also having control of my financial future was a huge piece of this. So 8 years ago, left my cushy corporate job and decided to go freelance. I said, if my company's going to pay me to do social media, email marketing, website building, all the things, can I just do that for businesses on my own? And so I quit and I did, and I started hustling my way into entrepreneurship.
That's amazing. And it's always in those hardships that like we have those realizations of like, okay, I can take this matter into my own hands now and have control of my life and not let somebody else dictate my worth. Because it sounds like you were trying to, give all these ideas and they kept getting shut down and then it's just easily like being let go. So yeah, it's unfortunate those things happen, but it's so fortunate because it's brought you into how
Yes.
you are now and where you are now. So is there a specific like market that you work with? Like, you have, it sounds like a lot of experience with like the health and wellness, and I think you do some teaching also with like a health studio. So like, can you share maybe a bit about more with that too?
Absolutely. Yeah. So generally, clients that come to work with me, they are small business owners, oftentimes solo entrepreneurs. So maybe they are a naturopathic doctor and they're really good at what they do, but they don't really have a lot of time for the marketing or to make sure that they're getting new patients through the door, that they're building a brand where one day they could sell online courses and not just practice in their small town in a physical location. So clients like that would come to me. I also have clients who are starting a business. For example, They could be a book publishing company, and they're just one person who decided to take a leap, go out on their own, and they're getting clients, but they're looking to ensure that they have enough touch points around the internet, that they have a marketing plan or marketing strategy so that they can continue to grow their business, get new clients through the door, and never have a month where they're like, oh my gosh, I have nobody in my pipeline. And then they ask themselves, well, what have I done to be marketing? And they're like, oh, nothing. I posted on Instagram once or twice. I have a very lax blog strategy. Maybe I blogged once. I sent out an email, but it had like 30 buttons on it, 30 calls to action. I don't think anyone clicked it. So when they come to me, they're like, okay, so things are going okay, but there's no strategy when it comes to marketing, visibility, and growth. And so they'll come to me because they need somebody to look at it with an external eye and say, here's what we need to be doing to ensure that not only are you getting maintenance clients through the door, so whether that's 3 a month or 10 a month or 20 a month, but that you're going to keep growing and to achieve those growth goals that you have for the year. So looking for new ways to get brand awareness, new ways to get visibility on their products and services. So it all boils down to marketing and figuring out a strategy that's going to work well for them and their unique business.
That's wonderful. And so when it comes to the marketing side of things as well, that's probably I find like the first thing to go a lot for people too. They get busy doing
Yeah.
like the day-to-day stuff and sometimes they're forgetting like you're saying they're only posting like once or twice or sending that email or not sending the email. So
Yeah.
for someone who's kind of in that position, what is something you would say like where do you start? What's a good way for to build that consistency?
Yes, absolutely. Such a good question. So I usually recommend drawing what would be a visual of a funnel where it's wider at the top and then narrow at the bottom. And so you're going to draw 3 boxes along the top line, 2 boxes in the middle, 1 box at the bottom. At the bottom, I want you to write the one thing that you're trying to sell right now. So, Amy, maybe for you, it's you're selling this one VIP package where you basically do a business owner's operations for them. It includes 4 hours a week, 2 monthly meetings, reporting. So that's the one thing, and you sell it for $2,000 a month. Then you're going to go to the very top buckets. So you've got 3 different squares drawn across
Yep.
the top. That's your top of funnel. That's how you're going to get visible to your dream clients. So you might write social media in one of those boxes. So you're saying, okay, we're going to use Instagram and Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. Choose one form of social media, but that's just one of the boxes. Another way you're going to get visible is to go speak on people's podcasts. So you're going to do a little podcast tour. So you're going to write that in your second box. And then maybe in the third box, you're going to do a free monthly masterclass, 3 mistakes that all small business owners make when it comes to their operations. Okay, so now you've got 3 strategies that are going to help you get visible. You're also going to have to jot down what is the strategy? How often am I doing it? And you have to follow through, right? If you say you're
Yeah.
going to post 5 times a week, this is your strategy. Like, imagine there's a manager that comes to you at the end of each week and is like, Amy, did you post 5 times this week? If you say no, you're fired. You no
Yep.
longer have a business. So, like, this is like very serious stuff, right? So, you kind of write down the plan. Then you're going to jot down for each of those, how does this lead to a client actually coming further into my funnel, further into my world, getting to know me? So maybe from the masterclass, they are going to book a free discovery call with you. So that's going to be in one of those middle 2 boxes that you offer free consultation calls. And every time you are getting visible, you're like, hey, Kelsey, sounds like you have some challenges. Do you want to just get on a quick 20-minute chat? Or at the end of your masterclass, hey guys, this has been so much fun. If you want to fill out this quick form, I'll actually do a free audit for you on a free 20-minute call. So you're getting them to come a little closer to your
Yeah.
world, which then you can picture brings them a little closer to that bottom bucket where at
Yeah.
the end of that call, you say, you know what, no pressure, but it sounds like your business backend is a mess. why don't we start with this $2,000 a month package? We can get you from here to here. It's going to take the pressure off of you. You will not be stressed. And all of a sudden, you have yourself a marketing funnel. So that's how I work with clients in the most simple form.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point because you talk about like the 3 points, and really at the end of the day, if you're not doing this top part, you really don't have a business. So like how do
Yes.
you expect to kind of like support and nurture everyone else if you're not even doing
Yeah.
the basic part? And I think a lot of service-based businesses you probably find too are so focused on serving the client and really wanting to
Yes.
get the results for the client, they're missing the key piece of like attracting more clients to themselves too.
Yeah, it's such a dance, right? Like when I meet with clients, I have so much empathy because usually we are so gifted at the thing that we do, whether it's coaching, whether it's providing natural health services, whether it is, whatever you do as a profession. But it's a whole other side of your brain to actually think about the business and the growth and to remove yourself from the day-to-day operations and say, okay, how can I streamline things? How can I really look at how to be more efficient and to optimize? Like, those are two separate skills.
Yes.
Ideally, it's two separate roles, but for a small business owner, they're wearing all the hats. So sometimes it's helpful to ask for help or hire help as it comes to more of like the business, the operations, the marketing, and the sales.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you talked about blogging and stuff like that. And I know I've seen like different opinions around people like marketing shifted so much. So like is blogging still a thing? Like in 5 years, is it still going to be a thing? Like not even just blogging, but like, the trends that happen with marketing too. What are kind of some of your thoughts on that?
Hmm. Yeah, so I love this question. So to specifically kind of talk about blogging, it is very much still important. So when we think about the role of search engines,
Yeah.
a search engine that we would log into, like Google, we go and we look for solutions to our problems. So we're like, I need a plumber in Toronto, Ontario, or who is the best hairstylist in this town that does blonde highlights, or something like that.
Yeah.
So previously, up before 2024, I would say, we were only using Google, Bing, Yahoo. So we're going to a search engine. And what it's doing is it's looking at mostly websites and trying to ask a website, like, are you the best one to show when somebody says, I need a plumber in Toronto? So it would scour your website. Do you have the words plumber and Toronto? Do you have good reviews? What type of services do you offer as a plumber? Like, are you doing, bathrooms, whatever.
Yeah.
Today, things have changed. So, with the introduction of artificial intelligence, AI search engines, let's just say ChatGPT, because that's the one everyone's talking
That's what,
about.
yeah.
Now, people open ChatGPT and they ask questions. But when we go to ChatGPT, we're kind of like asking more meticulous questions. It's like, okay, what is a marketing plan? And then it gives us an answer. And then it says, well, who can help me do this? We type in, then it
Yeah.
gives some answers. Well, which of those previous answers has the most reviews? And then it gives some answers. Well, what are her prices? So now there's all these different layers of search. So search engines are not dead. It's just that our behavior is changing. So we're still going to Google and other search
Yeah.
engines for specific requests, but now sometimes we're using AI search engines to ask deeper questions and to source information that's not based on keywords on a website. So the cool thing about ChatGPT and other search engines, it pulls from your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your TikTok, blogs, forums that you've been mentioned on, your podcast show notes. So the good news for people who are creating across all platforms, and if they're blogging still, you're
Yeah.
going to start showing up in ChatGPT. So yeah, there's like a whole other kind of pillar of suggestions that I would have there, but at the very
Yeah.
basic, if you want to show up on ChatGPT, just make sure that you're creating on one specific topic and have
Yeah.
as many touch points and distribute that content all around the internet. And ChatGPT will start showing your business as the solution to a problem.
Well, and it even goes back to what your offerings are and you being known as like the leader in that offer and being
Yes.
known for that, right? And it's not having the scattered where you help with like everything. So I think that even goes back to like your ideal client and you can
Mm.
help it. What's that saying? Like you can help everyone, but you can't help everyone. Like there's some saying around that,
I know
right?
what you're
Like,
saying. Yeah, it's like it's almost like that expression. It's like you can have it all, but not all at once. So you
right.
can help a
That's
lot of clients, but you have to know like who's the specific person.
yes, absolutely. And I think, with it sounds like the marketing and the support that you give it helps you to really like narrow in and focus on like what words do you want to be putting out there? What is your marketing message that you're wanting to be out there? So you are attracting and becoming known as the one and the expert to help in that field too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think the challenge with a lot of business owners is that they're talking about so many different things. There's no real clarity in their messaging. So if you're talking about, I help people with their relationships and I do life coaching and I'm a burnout consultant for entrepreneurs and I'll help you with your wellness goals, we have no idea what you do. Like, yes,
Yep.
I understand that that could all fall under life coaching. However, the internet is going to be very, very confused as to what your content is truly about. So,
Yep.
yes, you want to get so clear. I actually have an intake form that I walk clients through. And the first three questions are, how would you describe your business in one word, in two words, and in three words? Right? Like for
That
me,
is so challenging because I feel like everyone wants to write sentences about
they
their
want to
business,
write
right?
so much, but you
Yes.
have to boil it down. Like, what is the trigger word? So if someone says marketing, I want them to think about my business. For
Yep.
you, it might be something different, right? Like
Yep.
one trigger word, and we have to get that down. Otherwise, it's too tempting to just word vomit on people and to never be known for anything.
Yes, absolutely. So that sounds like that's kind of one of like the pitfalls, but is there some other kind of common like marketing mistakes or things that you see kind of entrepreneurs doing as well?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the biggest thing that I would say is kind of going back to the funnel. It's that
Yep.
people, they're really focused on doing things at the top of the funnel. So they're posting on Instagram, but there is zero methodology on how that leads to a client, right?
Yep.
So thinking back to that funnel diagram, it's like we do the thing at the top, but if you don't know how that's going to help get you into conversation with someone, to really nurture them, to have them learn about your business, and then to eventually sell to them, then you're kind of missing the point of these marketing and visibility strategies. Because we don't just want to like post on TikTok or share a masterclass or webinar and then just like shut down our laptop and hope and pray that clients understand what we do. We actually have to then bring it into the sales department, right?
Yep.
Marketing passes leads to sales. So you really have to think like, how does this lead to cash in my pocket? And if you don't know, then you probably have to revisit that marketing strategy and that marketing funnel.
Yeah. Okay. Such a good point. So I kind of want to take a little different direction here. One of the questions I always like to ask too. So, Kelsey the business, how do you separate that from like Kelsey the person? Because I know a lot of times what's really happening right now is people are building personal brands, right?
Mhm.
Because that's such an important because people want to know the person behind the business and then
Yeah.
make that investment, right? So how do you kind of make that differentiating point between you, the business owner, and you, like the actual person too?
Hmm. It's a crazy world out there because I feel like there is a lot of blend between Kelsey the business and
Yeah.
Kelsey the person. And what I've noticed over the past 8 years is that a lot of my clients, they really connect with me and use some of those connection points as a reason to hire me versus
Yeah.
another marketing consultant. So for an example, I've had clients that are like, "Oh, you know what? I love that you shared about your rescue dog and I just felt like you and I have a lot in common." Or, "Oh, you love biking too? We start chatting about mountain biking trails in Ontario. And then all of a sudden they open up to me and they say, by the way, like my business is suffering this year. Can we just like chat about what I can do? So then we chat and then they end up hiring me or purchasing one of my courses. So in that regard, sharing Kelsey, the personal brand or just
Yeah.
my personal life, it's proven to be helpful. However, there's also the dark side, which is if you identify too much with your business and then you have something negative happen. For example, a client says, this product sucks and it's not for me, and they leave you a bad review. If you internalize that personally and don't realize that you are not your business, like
Yeah.
the product wasn't a match, but that doesn't mean that you as a human are a horrible person and
Yeah.
that like you should carry that burden. But that can be dangerous, right? Because if you really identify with your business and with the product, anything negative could really drag you down. So it's a fine balance. I think for each person, it's very different how much of themselves they want to bring in. But I try to have boundaries around that. For example, too, when I show up to work, whatever's going on outside of my office, it stays there because I want to show up at 110% for
Yeah.
clients despite what's going on in my personal life. So
Yeah.
that's just that level of professionalism. But again, I haven't cracked the code. I just think it's important to make sure that you notice where you are too blended and could
Yeah.
benefit from a boundary.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that because I think you bring up a really good point about we sometimes internalize that, right? And so to really have that separation, because at the end of the day, what you've done, like you might have one person that doesn't like it, but then you've got hundreds of other people that have loved and appreciated the work that you've done too. And to really um not internalize and make that mean anything, because I think once we start to do that, then that's when all the other things come in of like the comparison and the self-worth, and then you don't end up like putting yourself out there and it's now you're not marketing your business and all the things that can happen from when we do
Yes.
internalize those things.
Yeah, yeah. It is definitely one of those topics that I think now more than ever is being explored because we're still in the early phases of people really building these personal lifestyle brands in
Yes.
order to promote their services. Like
Yeah.
even from a marketing perspective, we see that founder-led businesses, so businesses where the founder, us, is
Yeah.
an active participant in the marketing strategy. Instead of me just calling my business Visionary Digital and pretending there's a whole team and you can't
Right.
connect with a person, I am the spokesperson. And that works much better than hiding behind a brand where there's no humanization for most
Yeah.
people in those early years. So, yeah, so it's very delicate.
Yes. Well, and I think it even comes down to like a confidence piece too, because
Yep.
sometimes people hide behind like the name as opposed to like stepping into their confidence with it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so for people, solo entrepreneurs that are wearing all of the hats kind of thing, is there like a specific you should be spending like 2 hours a week on marketing or like have some like dedicated time? Because I know, like we kind of talked about earlier, that can be
Yep.
kind of one of the things that gets throws to the sides, unfortunately.
Yes.
So, for our listeners, what's kind of some like good guidelines around that?
Yeah, so to put a time frame around it, I always say between 2 and 6 hours a week is probably good for the majority of small business owners. However, that comes with a big asterisk because number one, it's like, are you focused during that time? Because if you are totally dialed in, you can write a really good blog post in an hour. You can
Yeah.
create 3 social media captions in another hour, and you could probably write your newsletter for the week and do 20 cold emails or 20 outreaches on Instagram DMs, and that's 4 hours right there. However, most people are looking at their phone, they're distracted, their mind is wandering, And I get it, me too. They have 1,000 tabs open.
Yep.
So then they get to the end of the work week and they're like, well, I didn't do the blog and I didn't post on social media and I didn't follow up with anyone and blah, blah, blah. Right. So
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily make it a time frame, but I would really look at what am I committing to for the next 30 days or the next 90 days, ideally,
Yep.
if you want to get some data. And then say, am I willing to do whatever it takes to build this muscle? So, blogging is going to feel hard at first. Holding yourself accountable to doing a webinar on the last Thursday of every month, you're going to want to cancel it because you're going to say, oh, there's only 2 people signed up. It's not worth
Yep.
it. But then you're letting yourself off the hook and you could be promoting it up until the last minute, getting 30 signups. So
Yep.
it's really about committing. Why am I doing this? What will be the outcome if I stick with this? And then getting the work done, whether it takes 2 hours or 6 hours. So, but I would say focus over anything. Just try to bend time and get things done in a shorter amount of time if possible.
That's being more like intentional with the time that you have, it sounds like too. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. And then
Mhm.
it sounds like even too, if you have like specific launches, that's probably going to take a bit more time to put that time and energy into your launch plan for like
Yes.
marketing that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, of course so I always see marketing, there's 2 different buckets. There's kind of the ongoing market, the
Yep.
different areas that we are doing on a weekly or monthly or daily basis. And then there are those special projects like launches. A launch season, you're probably going to have to block off social plans. You're going to have to
Yep.
tell your family, look, I'm going to be working over dinner hour for a few nights this week. Those are sometimes seasons of our business where we need to pour a little bit extra because we're doing more to get visible and the results will show for it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned too around, sticking to kind of like a 90-day plan. So ideally, should people be like every 90 days reassessing? Should it be like once a year reassessing? Because I think sometimes what happens is people are putting their time and energy in marketing and they're not seeing the results right away. So then
Yeah,
they're like, I'm throwing it out the window. I'm moving on to the next thing, right? So,
totally. Yeah. So 90 days is like the minimum, minimum, minimum of showing up consistently to get 3 months of data, right? So for an example, I have a client who started on LinkedIn 90 days ago. So back in December, when she started, she was probably getting like 100 impressions on each post, and you can measure these metrics. So at the end of December, we were seeing some numbers, how many comments she got, how many people reshared, how many connections she had on LinkedIn. It was okay. She definitely was not feeling motivated to continue, but I was like, hey, girl, we got to keep going with this. Like
yeah.
30 days of data is nothing, 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 nothing. And she was comparing herself to people who had been posting on LinkedIn every single day for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So then we get through January. She elevates her content a little bit because we saw what worked in December and then the posts that just definitely didn't work. So in January, we're seeing a few hundred impressions on her posts. We're seeing more people comment, which is always a good sign. Her DMs are getting a bit busier. So that's great.
Yeah.
Then we look at January and February. Her impressions were in the tens of thousands. So I think
Wow.
February it was like 10,000 total for the month. February up in like 20 to 30,000 impressions. More than that, she was having so many conversations in her DMs. She really knew what content got the most engagement. And she started a LinkedIn group where now she has about 40 people who are in a group chatting about her subject matter expertise every single day. So you can kind of see just using that story that, like,
Yeah.
if you just do 30 days, like she did in December, your results are going to be pretty bleak. You don't even know what's going to work. Give it at least 90 days, but ideally choose 3 to 5 marketing efforts at the top of your funnel and do it for a year.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even probably factoring in like the time of year, like December. Most
Yeah.
people
Oh
are
my gosh.
doing Christmas
Yes.
parties and have, there's external factors that are also like affecting, some of the
Yep.
results too. But what
You
an
got it.
amazing story because if she would have stopped after 30 days, like I think that's a good point. People stop too soon. They give up too quickly.
They do. Exactly. So give it the time it deserves. Remember, you are in business for the long haul.
Yes.
5 years, 10 years down the line. Most of us will still be in business in 20 years. And if we don't quit, imagine the numbers you are going to see. It's going to be insane. The sad part is most people, they want overnight success. And after 3 months, if things aren't, millionaire status, they just want to burn it all down, but you've got to give it time. Like
Yeah.
nobody, no, not many businesses, I will say, are overnight successes. Some
Yeah.
are, but I don't think we should compare ourselves to that standard.
Definitely. And, some that may appear to be, you don't know all the work that's
No,
happened behind the scenes to get them to where they are too. So that's such a really good
exactly.
point too. So you have a podcast, the Visionary Life podcast. So what really inspired you to start this podcast? Because you've had it for 7 years, which is again amazing and shows, the importance of consistency with that too.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, it's called the Visionary Life Podcast. We interview Canadian entrepreneurs and share their stories, share their tips and tricks, any hurdles they had to overcome that they can share the success secrets for anyone who's coming after them. And I started it because I think I was really looking for connection. And I began recording only in person. So I would bike around Toronto, I would get on the streetcar, show up at a business, show up at an office, and I would just put two microphones down and we would just chat and have really authentic, organic conversations. And it was equally as awesome for me as the person producing the show as it was for them who was getting the spotlight on them. So guess it was a selfish desire to start the show. I was also a massive consumer of podcasts. So even before I started my business, I would travel around anywhere I was going, in between meetings, while I was working solo at my desk at my last corporate job. I was just consuming podcasts. So then when I started my business, I heard this quote that said, create where you consume. And what the person meant by that was like, if you want to become a creator, one of the easiest ways to do that is to create where you're already consuming a ton of content
Yes.
because you understand the nuances of the platform. You don't need to say, hey, can somebody explain what a podcast is? Because I want to start one as a marketing strategy. Like, no, no, no.
No.
So for me, I was binging podcasts. I always thought to myself, well, I could do this. And so I started it as a way to fulfill that desire for connection. And what ended up happening is that it helped me expand my reach, grow my network, find clients, get opportunities that, were unimaginable to me before having the show, and to just practice talking, right?
Yes.
Like to just
Yep.
I was not trained in communication, no training in media broadcasting, editing, but you just kind of figure it out and you fail forward, and it helps you become a better teacher, a better speaker, a better writer, a better creator, because you hold yourself accountable to talking once a week.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of interesting why I started mine too, is around like connection and then getting that comfort level of speaking and, marketing myself, but having this connection to talk to other amazing entrepreneurs. And then I felt like I'm now building my network. So
Yes,
then if
of course.
someone's like, hey, I'm looking for this, I'm like, oh, I just did this interview with this person.
Yes.
Go check out it with Kelsey. She's got amazing marketing tips and it's a great referral source to give to people as well, too. I've found.
It absolutely is. Yeah, I think there's so many benefits, but at its core, the networking and the connections with other like-minded people is just incredible.
Absolutely. So, and you also had an event. I know we were talking offline before as well too. So you also have hosted in-person events, which is amazing. So what kind of was, I guess, the inspiration to start those too?
Hmm. Yeah, so 2 years ago, we launched a mastermind. So, myself and a co-founder, we're both mamas. We both wanted to build a group coaching program. She is a trained mindset coach and a life coach. I'm trained as a marketing professional.
Yeah.
But when you blend those together, you really have this magic formula of being able to bring a group together and to crack any challenge and get somebody to a solution. Because sometimes people are like, I know I want 10,000 followers on social media, but I can't seem to get there. That's usually a mindset issue,
Yes.
right? It has nothing to do with the strategy. It's more so just like, well, why do you want that? Is there a better way?
Hmm.
What is the easiest step you can take to stay the course instead of quitting in this moment? And I never feel like I'm skilled enough to really get into more of like the personal challenges around visibility. So myself and my co-founder, we launched a mastermind, and it is a group that meets every single Wednesday, all Canadian entrepreneurs, just women. And we started to feel this desire to bring the group in person in real
Yeah.
life. And so last year we rented a space in Puslinch Lake, Ontario. We brought 10 women out and we're like, let's just see, do 10 women want to gather in person? And we're sitting by the water, sipping lattes,
Oh,
there was
amazing.
just like incredible connections and
Yes.
breakthroughs, and people being like, oh, I have the perfect solution. Call my friend. She can do that for you. Oh, no worries. I'll set up a call with you after. And so we just decided this is what we're craving. This is clearly what the community is craving. And now it's open to anyone. So you don't have to be part of our mastermind. It is women entrepreneurs from all over Ontario. Ontario is where we host them. And we gather twice a year in March and in October. We bring in guest speakers. We have incredible swag bags. We make sure you meet with small groups that we curate so that you leave with really good connections. And it's like not icky at all. You can show up, you can be yourself, you can connect with other cool women. And so we decided to keep going with that because it feels like the thing that's going to help you grow your business, that's not like keep running ads or do these things
Yes.
that disconnect you. It's more
Yes.
like the solution's right in front of us and it's getting back into our communities.
Yes, absolutely. And it's such a good, again, the marketing side of things is you have the online, but also the in person. And I think so many times people are focusing on the in person or in the online aspect, but like in
Yes.
person is just as valuable. And
Yeah.
the fact that you're getting into a room, you're having to share about your business, like the clarity that comes from that of like,
Fuck
oh my
yes.
gosh, you know what? This actually is what a better word for me to use or a better phrase, giving those elevator pitches about your
Yep.
business, right? Yep.
Oh man, you're right. And like, I just feel like even if you're introverted, that is going to be where your next big breakthrough comes from, is getting out, having to talk to people, really putting yourself in a situation where there's no way you're not going to connect with women. Whereas if you're just posting or blogging, there's a chance nobody sees it for the first 24 hours or 48
Yes.
hours. And then you feel disconnected and it makes you want to kind of like revert back to your shell. But if you put yourself in a room where it's curated, there's going to be other amazing, generous human beings. Like you have to talk or ask
Yes.
questions or make one connection. And sometimes that's the growth edge to remind ourselves that the in person connection is where it's at. That never is going to go away, no matter how much the digital world is growing. In fact, we're actually reverting back to supporting people in our geographical location.
Yes.
So 10 years ago, there was this whole glorious growth of, oh, you can just connect with anyone online, hire people around the world. Now we're overwhelmed, right? We open
Yep.
up our web browser, our Instagram. I could find 9,000 personal trainers that I would love to hire.
Yes.
But instead, I'm going to think about Mia, who came to the event on Friday, who trains out of the gym down the road, who's part of our mastermind. And now I'm going to refer all of my friends who want a trainer to her because she's top of mind. I want to
Yep.
support local business. So we really are returning to more of that grassroots referral type network.
Absolutely. And even what you said at the beginning, how we met from a brunch. And like,
Yes.
from that brunch, I've had so many amazing connections. I've had other people on the podcast. We've had great conversations. So again, the power of in
Yes.
person. And like, I really like your point too about, you get to know that person. So it's becomes natural and easy to refer them because you've built that connection and that know, like, trust just skyrockets that much more, I feel like too, with the in person.
Yeah.
So,
You know what? That's a great point about the brunch. Like you and I sat beside each other there, we chatted and we're doing this. And same as you, I can think of 3 or 4 other women that I have made meaningful connections, like either gone to their event or they've
yeah.
come to mine. And it's like that was all from a 2 hour brunch on a Saturday that we drove in for. But like you put
And it was
yourself
maybe
in
like
that kind of room.
$70 to go to the, like when you break it down, like
When you break it down, yeah,
yeah,
worth it, worth every minute, worth every penny. So shout out to the
yes,
high vibe women who put that
yes,
on because, that's what I think that's where true business leaps are made is when you're shoulder to shoulder with other passionate, ambitious individuals like yourself.
yes, absolutely. Okay, I feel like we could talk forever. You've shared so much information, and it's been such an amazing chatting with you and for our listeners. So, for our listeners, what is maybe something you're working on? I know you said that you have, your in-person event that's coming up in October, but what are maybe some other ways that they can connect with you too?
Absolutely. So the main ways that I share are on Instagram. I'm at Kelsey Reidl. I share marketing tips. I talk about motherhood. I share my daily adventures. And over on my website, kelseyreidl.com, that's where you can read blogs about marketing. You can see a lot of client spotlights. I love to raise up our community. And so you can kind of see different profiles of all the women in our mastermind, all the people that I've supported with their marketing. So it's really fun to just browse and see the different types of businesses. And if anyone's struggling with social media content creation, search engine optimization, if you want to show up in ChatGPT, but you just have no idea how, reach out to me because I do offer private marketing consulting.
Amazing. I'll be sure to include all those in the show notes as well too. So, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you on today.
Thanks, Amy.